No, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a big mystery to me.
Is it a haunting? Is it another world? Is it this animal instinct that's driven by scent that's causing them to jump? We just don't know. There's no hard evidence to exactly what's causing it.
And we can't ask the dogs.
No.
Well, wait a second. Maybe we can.
Oh, we can?
Can't we hire a dog whisperer?
God. Really?
I don't know.
You had to go there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Doing a story about dogs, of course.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is indeed mysterious, but I'm kind of curious if they have signs posted on the bridge saying keep your dog on a leash.
As far as I know, there are no signs posted on the bridge, and I know that I don't remember who said, why do people keep walking their dogs there? It evidently wasn't one of those things that was widely reported to the public or that people knew about until recent history, when people have started, the stories hit the internet and it's been on shows and people are figuring it out now. And so, like I said before, I'm pretty sure that anybody that takes a walk in that area, make sure that they have their dog on the leash before they cross the bridge.
Yeah, that's just shocking. I mean...
Make sure your dog's not strong enough to take you over with him, too.
That would be a problem.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you put signs up? I don't know.
Why wouldn't you put, chain link fences all over the place?
Why wouldn't you put a sign up?
Yeah, I don't...
That seems like the responsible, caring thing to do. Like a sign at either end that just says, caution, leash your dog.
No.
Dog suicide area.
No, it can't be written in English because that's racist. It would have to be written. It'd have to be one of those big yellow and black diamond-shaped signs. It's got some sort of picture of a dog leaping off a bridge. Don't you think?
Some kind of international sign for dog suicide area.
Yeah, I know. Let's look in the net. There's probably already exists.
There already is. Yeah.
In Scotland, they speak English, they just speak it funny.
Yeah, but supposing somebody's in, Japan, and they hear about this bridge, and they come there with their dog just to check it out.
Well, then maybe I shouldn't say something
I know.
like that. I shouldn't say that they deserve to lose their dog, but maybe they do.
Yeah, not the brightest bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, we solved that mystery.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't think we solved that mystery.
No,
I
actually,
think it's
we
a
haven't.
big mystery.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody out there has motivation to read about this story, you can certainly go ahead and read all about it. We've got the links to this particular story on our website. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. If you have some alternate theories that you want to tell us about, or you just know some other strange stories that you'd like to hear us cover, feel free to go ahead and send us an email. That email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, and we will talk to you next time.
Hey, good night, everybody.
I still say it's aliens.
And this seems really dumb because I can imagine what a task it must have been. But they would cart their sheep to these islands, kick them out on the island to feed on the grass. They wouldn't stay overnight because they were fearing the spirits or little people that lived there. So they'd leave and then come back a couple of days later and pick up their sheep.
They do that in Ireland still, but they did do that in Ireland, and the cause or the reason for that is because there are no predators on those islands.
True, but
So
it
you
just
don't have
seems
to worry
so
about
much
it.
work
Yeah, I mean, it's
to
like
cart. I mean, have
It's not-
either of you dealt with sheep?
Yeah.
They're stupid.
Right, but so it's not like a daily thing, right? It's like
You'd
you
probably
put
let 'em
cows
loose
out
and
to
leave 'em out there for a
pasture.
couple
For
of
weeks or a
Yeah.
month. But still, it's a giant pain in the butt to get a sheep to go into a gated area because they'll run into the fence, they'll run the opposite direction, they'll go everywhere but where the obvious hole is at.
I think that it's...
And I can only imagine
Yeah.
trying to put them onto a boat, which is, an archaic boat.
Yeah, again, it's going to suck, but it's
How
probably
many do you
worth
lose
it.
overboard?
Well, less than
a
you're going to
lot.
lose to wolves.
Salted mutton, right there. They put right into the ocean. You got
perfect.
salted mutton.
Pre-salted.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to me like it'd be a hell of a lot of work because you'd have to haul. And that's like the nearest other island is a large island that's to the east about 15, 20 miles. That's a long way to sail in very rough seas. I mean, I guess you'd do it in the summertime.
Maybe it's only done in the summertime, but it just
probably it's
a little weird to me. Is all I was saying.
Maybe they were just really hard up for good grass for their sheep to graze on.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Anyway, but enough of them sheep. So we're back. So the Hesperus shows up.
That's the name of the relief ship.
Did I not say that? Yeah,
Nope,
the relief
that's
ship,
it.
the Hesperus.
Yeah.
It shows up, and they're a little mystified. There's nobody there to meet them at the landing, and no signs of life at all.
And they shot off an alert rocket or something
they shot
like that.
off
Basically, a giant firework.
Basically, they blasted the horn several times and got no response, and then shot off a flare and got no response. And then they lowered a boat and sent a boat into the landing. And by the way, side note, there are 2 landings for this thing. There's one on the east and one on the west side. So they were approaching on the east side landing.
That was typical, right?
Yeah. Well, they were actually sailing from the east of the island, so that'd be the closer one. But it all depends on weather conditions, So which way the wind is blowing. So if it's blowing from the west, you use the east one. If it's blowing from the east, you use the west one.
Got it.
Be on the lee side.
Sure.
Yeah. So they hit, and that'll be somewhat more significant a little bit later on. But so they lower a boat and send a few sailors ashore along with this guy named Joseph Moore. And he was the relief guy. He was the guy that was supposed to be taking over, so one of the other guys in the lighthouse could go back to shore for a while.
Sure.
Yeah,
Give him leave.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they call it, the relief boat. So anyway, he goes ashore, and because there was nobody at the landing, he had a little bit of trouble with getting out of the boat. I guess when you think about it, it'd be a lot easier to land your boat if there's somebody standing on the landing that you can toss your rope to and
tie up.
off. Yeah, so it was a little bit tricky, but he got on shore and climbed up all them steps to the lighthouse. And when he gets there, so there was a gate around the lighthouse, and it was shut. The gate was shut, which leads us to another mystery, which is why you need a fence on a deserted island. But,
just in case.
The livestock, right there.
Maybe,
prime reason.
Maybe that was to keep the livestock out of their garden. So maybe they did have livestock and a garden. I don't know. I figured it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, I heard that story too, but I just figured it was kind of irrelevant to the overall mystery.
Sheep eat everything.
It could have been killer sheep. Yeah. I can just see the movie now.
It's like the sheep version of Night of the Lepus.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie Black Sheep?
No.
I believe it's called Black Sheep, where it is killer were-sheep. Literally, they're were-sheep. It's
awesome.
A terrible B movie, but it's funny to watch.
Again, I assert.
Yeah.
Sheep version, Night of the Lepus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Back to the story.
Sorry.
I'm gonna make a
We're
horror
gonna get off
movie.
track really
It's gonna be
fast.
called Sheep 2. I'm gonna skip Sheep.
Yeah.
Go straight to Sheep 2, and then I'm gonna skip to Sheep 5. Yeah.
As long as there's a weird make-out scene with popcorn, I think we're good.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
understand
getting
that.
diverted here anyway. So as I said, so he finds the gate to the fence shut and latched, and then he goes from there to the outside door to the keeper's quarters, and that door is shut and latched. Okay, all as could be expected.
Right.
And he goes inside, and everything was all neat and tidy. Everything was in order, nothing out of the ordinary. There was a half-eaten meal of salted mutton and potatoes on the kitchen table.
Sea salted.
Salted mutton, yeah.
All right, can I call you out right now? The whole food thing.
Yeah.
That's just like the Mary Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
No,
That's
you mean
fanciful.
Oh yeah, no, that's why if you look at my
That's fanciful additions to the story.
Well,
I don't want people to think that that's really the true version
actually,
right there.
If you look at my write-up, I
never read
bolded all the BS stuff that was.
Oh, I thought that was the stuff that I was supposed to be paying attention to.
Yeah, no, that's the reason I bolded it.
Oh.
Okay,
this is
all right,
the
I'm
stuff
just
that was
making
not
sure.
supported. Yeah, so and there was also an overturned chair on the floor indicating that somebody had left in a big hurry. The fire was out and apparently had been out for days. The clocks were stopped, indicating that nobody had been around to wind them. So Mr. Moore searched the residence. There were numerous rooms, like bedrooms for the guys to sleep in and stuff, and found no one there. And I just want to make a quick note that we'll be talking a little bit about it because he submitted a written testimony about what happened on that day.
Mm-hmm.
And the half-eaten meal in the kitchen, the overturned chair, that was not in his accounting of that. So that was definitely tacked on.
Okay.
I was going to say the problem with salted mutton and potatoes is that it's a cold meal already, so you can't say, oh, and it was cold, or it was still steaming. Right?
Yeah.
man.
Maybe before the aliens abducted them, they made them lay some of that stuff out.
Spoilers!
Oh, sorry. Sorry, forget you heard that. You never heard that. You never heard that. You never heard that. Okay, back to the story.
And you're awake.
Yeah. So anyway, Mr. Moore goes back to the Hesperus and reported what he'd seen to the captain. The captain told him to get his butt back there, and sent 3 volunteers to go back with him, because obviously, I mean, it was a big mystery and they were all a little scared about the whole thing, but at the same time, they needed to get the lighthouse working. So,
Right.
and so Mr. Moore had to, he took a few assistants with him, because obviously can't leave him there by himself, because he'd be all creeped out. Can you imagine how creepy it would be to be all by yourself in that lighthouse when 3 people had just disappeared?
Totally, but...
So they sent some people along with him.
But from a logistical standpoint, I mean, it's something we should probably explain, is that it took 3 people to run the lighthouse, because at night you've got to make sure it's still burning and maintain that flame.
Yeah.
And one person cannot stay up all night long, and so it was in shifts,
I'm sorry, was this before the invention of coffee?
Yeah.
Coffee does not keep you up all night, as I learned in college.
Oh.
Yeah, it does.
It's a shift from, let's say, 8 o'clock to midnight, and then the next guy is midnight to 4, and then the next guy is 4 o'clock to dawn.
Yeah.
So it's this weird rotation, and they all rotated through, so one guy would eventually, at least one night, get almost a full night's sleep. But it takes multiple people to run this.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, so he comes back with the other guys, and they look around a little bit, and they notice that 2 of the oilskins and boots were missing. So essentially, there were 3 sets of oilskins there, 1 for each guy.
Oilskins are like...
Rain jackets.
Yeah, like rain jackets. I think it
okay.
was back in the day before they invented Gore-Tex. So I think they
Right.
call them oilskins because were oilskins like cloth that was like
Leather. Typically,
leather,
they're leather jackets
very,
that
very
are
heavily oiled.
literally oiled up in seal oil or whale oil.
Yeah.
It so it repels the water. It is the old school equivalent of a plastic rain jacket.
Okay, I just wasn't sure oilskins or whatever they call you put water in.
Well, it's like, we have not Gore-Tex, but you have waterproof jackets, and once a year you got to spray the waterproof stuff on them.
No,
It's the same thing. It's just that you would literally rub this oil all over it.
Sure, I was just I couldn't remember if oilskins were jackets or if they were like the things you put water in.
Yeah.
No, not a.
Well, what do you put water
Bota bag?
in? No,
Bota bag is the only thing I can think
skin. Maybe a wine skin. Ha!
Yeah, there you go.
That's like
Sorry,
a Bota bag.
everyone. And that's,
Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of wineskins on the island.
from the Middle Ages anyways.
Yes.
So apologies all around.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to our mystery. So besides the oilskins and boots that were missing, and all 3 guys were gone, which means that one of those guys left without his oilskin on.
Which is weird because, by the way,
December
this is
15th.
the middle or end of December.
Yeah, at the 58th parallel.
Freezing cold outside.
It's going to be cold, rainy, nasty. Yeah, I know. So that's a mystery. That's an honest-to-God mystery. Some tellings say that a toolbox was also missing, but there's no confirmation.
But it's
of
bolded,
that.
so obviously.
It's bolded,
yes.
so obviously not. Yeah. So anyway, they came back and they kept the light going for that night, which was December 26th. Did I mention that they got out there on December 26th? Yeah, I did.
I think so.
Unless
But
I
it took
didn't.
them 11 days.
If not,
yeah.
you've covered it.
Yeah, I covered it. So that night they kept the light going. Then the next day they spent the day scouring the island for any sign of the missing men. Found nothing. Mm-hmm. And they had already obviously seen the eastern landing, so they went down and checked out the western landing, and they found some anomalous things there. It was glowing green as if a UFO. No, I mean, okay.
Soylent Green,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
No, apparently it had sustained some damage. There was a rock that had been dislodged from the cliff above and had come down and bashed
And it
up.
was a huge rock.
a big
right?
rock, yeah, and it bashed up,
Like a ton.
yeah,
At least.
yeah, and it fell down on the platform where the crane was and bent up all these cast iron rails.
And that's something to point out. There was a crane on that side. So I know the other side. You said there was the rail line.
Uh-huh.
So was there only a rail line on one side, and
Nope.
it was just a physical crane on the other, or
No, there was the rail line split off and went to both landings, and there was a crane at each landing. And the crane was to basically hoist supplies out of the supply boat. So the supply boat could come and get underneath where the crane was, and then they could just lift supplies directly off, instead of going through the whole arduous process of trying to lift them out of a boat alongside the dock and heaving North Atlantic seas. Instead, they can just like...
It allowed
that
for
way.
bigger shipments, too. I think.
Yeah. So they had... So anyway, the rail line went... So they had quite the infrastructure in this little island, you know?
Yeah.
2 rail lines. I mean, basically, 2 rail lines, 2 cranes.
As you would,
Cool.
I think, as you would hope.
It'd be what's the word? I want to say a... You know what? But I'd say it would be an arduous process. I'll say that.
Giant pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in addition to that, the other thing that was wrong was that they'd kept a large wooden box that was full of ropes and stuff like that, lodged in the rocks about 40 feet above the crane, which would put it about 110 feet above sea level. And that had been knocked out of its place, and the ropes were strewn around the crane and the rocks around the crane.
Wasn't there a buoy that had also been...
Yeah, there was a life buoy, and I'm not sure what they
Yeah.
mean if that's like one of those rings, you know, you see on ships.
No, I think buoy usually refers to either the thing that floats in the water, right, that are pretty heavy,
Yeah.
or I guess every once in a while I've heard a lifeboat referred to as a buoy, but I think probably they mean the big heavy thing that floats in the water right offshore.
I'm not sure. They only refer to it as a life buoy, and I had always just assumed it was some sort of a throwing ring that you could that was attached to a rope that
They
you could
usually
swing to
call
somebody who'd
those
fallen in.
life preservers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, exactly.
But who
But
knows?
you could maybe back. I mean, this is Scotland. I mean, you know,
They're all messed up.
They have a different word for everything.
That's
you know?
true,
I mean,
yeah.
hey, yeah. I mean, a trunk is boot.
Yeah, and chips are fries and fries are chips. No, wait.
I know.
Just fries
they're
or
just,
chips.
They're just all screwed up over there. But,
Man.
yeah.
Way to ostracize
I know.
our friends on the other side of the
I'm
pond.
sorry, everybody on the other side of the pond. Actually, I love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too.
Your blood pudding is my favorite thing in this entire world.
Okay, so next up in their investigation, they look at the logbook. They did keep a log.
I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I just think that would be the first thing I would do.
What's that? Look at the log?
I wouldn't be like, weird, this island is kind of torn apart or whatever. I would just be like, I wonder what they had to say.
No, actually, I'm
When's
pretty...
the last time they wrote in this thing?
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is next up in my little speech.
Oh.
Here, I probably read the log earlier than that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the log mainly had stuff like just anything that happened that was worthy of note, and things like stuff about the weather, the wind, barometer readings, temperature readings, stuff like that.
Sure.
But the final entries in the log were a little mysterious. So December 12th, here's a quote. Gale north by northwest, sea lashed to fury. Never seen such a storm. Waves very high, tearing at lighthouse. Everything shipshape. James Ducat irritable. Later. Storm still raging. Wind steady. Stormbound. Cannot go out. Ship passing sounding foghorn. Could see lights of cabin. Ducat quiet. MacArthur crying.
Sissy.
I know. Yeah, the thing about it is, I'm not sure what kind of a storm this was, but I mean, these guys were seasoned veterans. Like,
Well,
they were
yeah, I think
mariners
that's a good point to bring up. is
Yeah.
None of them were fresh on this kind of work.
Yeah.
Who was the one that was in charge? It's
Ducat.
Ducat. He's been doing this kind of work for 20 years?
Yeah, 20
so
years.
He's obviously got a really good idea. So I can see Ducat quiet. Okay,
Yeah.
well that makes sense. He's like, another storm. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah,
it's just,
but James Ducat irritable before that,
Yeah,
right?
just
Yeah, he's
Ducat
like,
irritable.
"Ah,
Yeah.
storm.
And so
I gotta sit
clearly,
here."
Marshall is the one keeping these. He's the lowest
This was.
on the rung.
Yeah, he's the middle guy. Yeah, Marshall is the middle guy. So,
And Marshall's the one who's writing in the log, though.
yeah,
He must
and
be.
He's writing this in the
Right,
log.
okay.
Which is a little strange in and of itself, because I mean the log is something that any of these guys could read.
And that's my problem, is that the log is for official recording, not my personal diary.
Yeah.
And this seems like something, the 1800s, late 1800s. I'm going to take my observations and I'm going to write them down. Like that's what this sort of seems like. Like if you would expect a young man, let's say an 18-year-old man of the times, he would make these kind of observations in his writing, but that's not what this is for.
Well, you're kind of like spoiling my whole thing.
Okay, continue on.
That doesn't really matter. I was going to read all these and then point out
keep
that they're-
going.
and then point out that they're all fake.
No,
No,
well,
I'm not saying
all
they're fake. I'm just
they
saying
are
it's
fake.
weird.
They are fake.
Let's-
But
Okay,
anyway.
well, we'll continue
let's
on.
read them and then we'll talk about why they're
Okay.
fake. Okay, so December 13th. Storm continued through night. Winds shifted west by north. Ducat quiet. MacArthur praying. Later, noon, gray daylight. Me, Ducat, and MacArthur prayed. And so no entry on December 14th. On December 15th, there was a single last line. Storm ended, sea calm. God is over all. Now,
I noticed that was in bold.
Yeah, it's in bold. Yeah,
that one
the whole thing should have been in bold. But so anyway, according to a guy whose name I can't recall right now, this was actually inserted into the story by a Pulp Fiction magazine, somewhat